Hello, I am Mike of Neil Enough Dice, and this is the Kerbal Space Program. Right, I have gone and installed some more Infernal Robotics bits and pieces. This is an expansion pack that is recommended to go with Infernal Robotics, and my understanding is eventually these parts here, all these white bits here, will at some point replace the stock Infernal Robotics bits and pieces. So basically I put it together a rather ridiculous test rig, just kind of to test various bits and pieces. So I've got a hinge, which is there. I've also sped the hinge up, so the hinge is faster than normal, which is it's on preset mode at the moment. So it's hinge goes up and down. This here, this is two joint pivotrons, but they're uncontrolled. So these two make up one thing. They're uncontrolled, so they just kind of flop about. I kind of put them together. You need to put like a pivot. Well, I don't need to do this way, but the way I did it was I put one there, and then there's a reverse one that needs to go underneath if you're going to attach things that way. I've got some off-axis rotatrons, so they can turn in interesting ways. I've attached two of them for no good reason at all, really. But you can see that you can go from an arrangement where they're basically parallel. So what comes out of, something goes from, attaches that one, it will go straight up, and then that will go straight along, and then I just go and kind of rotate. And now they're at 180 degrees. So I could fold things up in interesting ways and extend them in interesting ways. Those are just standard rotatrons. Well, that's a standard one. That's a reverse mount one. Putting those two together does nothing. Well, it just makes them rotate quicker, really. I've set up that's another set of hinges. That's a mini hinge. Two sets of mini hinges. That's to create a parallel hinge. So you can see those. That's always staying parallel. Nothing terribly interesting there. What have we also got? An extendertron, basic extendertron. So that just extends in and out. A right-angled one. So that is attaching to the end of that, and it's going up and down at right angles. I'll put that back. And I've put together an extension. Right, there's a thing called an extendertron stackable. It's the same as this thing, but it is designed to stack inside each other at different scales. So the other mod that I've also installed is TweakScale. So this is a series, this telescopic extension here, which is this group here, which you can't see because they're all inside each other. This is making telescopic things. So this bottom thing, which I'll just extend. I've also sped up, so it makes a different noise. That is just the same as. It's the exact same part, only I've used TweakScale to make it go down a scale, and then it will fit inside. And that means that the whole thing can telescopically extend. But I have to unextend it fairly quickly because it turns out that given the height I've put everything at, it will in fact go into the ground. It seems alright for a while, but then eventually it will explode. Which is probably not what I want. As you can see, yeah, it's already going wonky there, so that's going to explode at some point. But it means I can make telescopic things. So this isn't all the bits and pieces. There are where's my adaptatron? There we go. So you can see just what kind of interesting things you can do. Whoa. With these various bits and pieces. And you notice everything will clip through each other because it's all, as far as the game is concerned, they're all the same object. So it doesn't matter if they self-intersect. It's only a problem if they intersect things like the ground or another ship. So I haven't just been fooling around with them. Just building weird structures, kind of modern art sculptures based, with just sticking all the various mechanical things together just to see what they look like. I've been having a go at some Rover Ideas. Because the issue with big rovers, right? Something like, a science base on wheels, is it needs to be launched in such a way that its center of mass needs to be right down the middle here, right? Which I think I've got. Now this is the thing about the assembly building. I actually don't know if that is right down the center, which I would like it to be. I have a sneaking suspicion it isn't actually, but I suspect it's more the problem with this end than this end. So these are two basic prototype concepts. So one of them uses no, that's not what I want. I want that. One of them uses two hinges to do that, so they fold out like that. And the other uses gantries, because I'm much more confident that I can position everything absolutely balanced, and then I need to go that way, and then lower the wheels like this. So I suspect this half is unbalanced and this half is not would be balanced if I were to stick it on a rocket. Now obviously they're quite wide. I was initially worried about these rails here sticking out too much, but really the wheels are what's the problem. I have verified that if I grab a 3.5 meter fairing and stick that on the end, I will be able to relatively reasonably create a fairing. That makes a certain amount of sense. I would probably want some kind of a bit more gap here, so this slope right at the end doesn't have to be quite so radical. Also, the fact that there are bits sticking out makes me worried. But I would, from the looks of things, be able to make a reasonable fairing for something like this. Now the one interesting thing, this is not really about the parts as such. This is my own weirdness. One of the things you needed to make this kind of thing work is TweakScale. Because if I put a gantry, which is this thing here, a gantry rail, it's obviously enormous, right? So I've installed TweakScale, so I can right click and I can just scale it down until it makes sense. There you go, done. Now I have to admit, for the longest time, I basically considered TweakScale cheating. Now I'm kind of examining this attitude. I'm not entirely sure what cheating even means in an open world sandbox like Kerbal Space Program. What does that even mean? You know, I've installed KOS, but KOS isn't cheating because if I write an autopilot, it's something I've written as opposed to MechJeb. MechJeb would be cheating because that's something else doing the flying for me. I don't even know why that makes sense to me. Kerbal Engineer, that's not cheating. That's information that I could, in theory, calculate. Therefore, it's not cheating. Alarm clock, that's not cheating. But TweakScale, up until really recent, I mean, the thing about TweakScale, if I have this right, now this is kind of sort of thing which makes me think it's cheating, right? So let's attach that there. So that currently has 180 liquid fuel, but I can scale it up. And now it's got more fuel in it. And I can scale up even more. It's got more fuel in it. So I can basically, with TweakScale, make different fuel tanks other than the stock. How big can this go? Oh, it can go real. Oh, look at that. You can just keep going. Wow. You know, I can make a few. Oh, look at that. That's just madness. And I can put a rocket on that. And I haven't actually done this. Let's chuck a. That's not a rocket. Let's chuck a city rocket on. There you go. Very small rocket. Okay. I can chuck that. I can make that a bigger rocket. And my understanding is that changes the thrust. Right. So you can see the thrust to weight ratio going up, and the delta V going down. I think. Yeah. So I can make rockets that don't exist in stock. I can make a little tiny rocket. Equal tiny rocket. So for something, right, that to me, that just for no psychologically sound reason, that's cheating as far as I'm concerned, right? What does cheating mean in this context? But with the mechanics, it makes more sense that you would be able to make a gantry rail of different sizes. And the gantry rail as it stands, where is it? That thing's enormous. Look at the size of that thing. That's just silly. I can make it bigger. Look at that. Ah. But making these components at different sizes does not feel like cheating to me. In fact, you kind of need it. It really is the only way to make certain of these components useful. So I've used TweakScale on these gantry rails. I've used TweakScale on these hinges. These hinges are normally great big huge ones. So apparently I don't consider that cheating. I think what that means is I'm just going to use TweakScale only on those parts that come as part of Infernal Robotics and that Infernal Robotics expansion pack. Because that seems reasonable. That seems I can accept that. That's a reasonable thing. It makes no sense at all. It really doesn't. So basically, anyway, so I'm just going to demonstrate these two prototype ideas. So they're literally two prototypes connected by docking clamps. So I can, test them individually. So this is the first idea with these hinges. And I'm not. There's something odd happens occasionally. What's odd is happening is my hands weren't on the correct keys. So there you go. I now have a roving base, right? Put the wax on. And this is the other option, which is narrower even when it's not deployed, even when it is deployed. And there's another thing which is, if you notice when that, if I go back to this one, if I fold these wheels back up again, they don't just go down, they go out and down, which means that there's all sorts of weird physics problems caused by the wheels trying to push themselves backwards and forwards. I just realised what was going on there. I've turned the brakes off on the front there, which means that if I try and move forwards, those will quite happy. If I've got the brakes on, those will go forwards, but the back wheels are stuck as they should be. That was confusing me. So we'll put the brakes back on there. Go the other way. But this is my other option, which is like that. And because the wheels just go straight up and down, I don't have that issue of trying to go sideways and thus causing problems. It also gives me the possibility of being much more if I was going to try and dock, for example. Right, I'm not going to be able to dock because I'm at the wrong height. But I can put myself on the right height. I'd also have to align myself properly and stuff like that. No, still not working. I'm still not quite. So I'm not quite at the right height. So I can go down a bit. And there you go. Now I've docked. Hurrah! So that's a kind of a neat. I think that's a neat concept. I think of the two, I really think this is a better design. It should be nice when it's all packed up. Did I make a preset for that? I think I did. When it's all packed up, it should be properly weight balanced, or I should be able to make it properly weight balanced without too much of a problem. It's going to be largely depending on where exactly is the center of mass of those wheels, which I think was a much more difficult thing to do for this prototype with the foldy wheels. So this would be much better to be put on a rocket and then shot off into there, and then landed with a sky crane maybe. So I'd want docking ports up in there to add a sky crane. There was another issue with this one as well. If you look at how the way it is, it's got these things wide out there, which with a sky crane might be directly underneath where the exhaust is going to be, and thus I wouldn't actually be able to sky crane at all. Whereas these are much narrower, and I mean, it was worse when I had the old. I had the old hinges, which are great big huge things, like double. So they were huge big flat things. So there's no space there at all. So now that I'm happy to use TweakScale, that's less of a problem. But I still think if I'm going to make a mobile science base, this is the way to do it. I can also put landing gear on it if I want to do that. So this might be a thing to send to, say, Duna or something. Chuck a couple of scientists in there, you know, and you wander around Duna. This particular prototype doesn't have any power on it, but it doesn't matter for the purposes of this. So just kind of wander around and going, oh look, different biomes, and you can stop and get out and do surface samples and stuff. Whoop, stop. So I think that might be a workable prototype. So I'm going to revert to the VAs. I mean, I could recover the vessels, but I'd have to recover them both separately, and I can't be bothered. I'm just going to have a very quick demo of the other thing that I've been using Infernal Robotics for, which is a foldable sky crane, and I'm very pleased with the foldable sky crane. No, come on, you can do it. So let's just go straight from here. 8 days to the intercept. Would help if I could remember what I called it. Did I in fact? I may have to go in and have a look. I thought I was going to be able to be clever and not go into the VAB and just go straight to the rocket pad, the launch pad, but I can't remember what I called it. So I'll have to load up the VAB. I might just have to use auto-saved ship actually. I wonder if I saved it properly. I saved it as a oh, that's interesting. I saved it as a prefab. But this is just using the basic components. One thing I wasn't sure about if I do my robotics and then you see that the fuel line just stays there floating in midair. It's not really. That doesn't seem like that would work, does it? So what was obviously quite important was whether or not the fuel lines would in fact work if you are moving the bits that it's attached to. So there you go. You can see it's got a very small cross-sectional area. I can load up this and then There you go. You can see, there you go. So, let's turn that off. They work fine. The fuel lines are doing what I want them to do. And I would be able to control it with a hover script. I could also fold up while I'm flying, but that would be stupid. Whoa! I'm probably not going to be able to land this because I'm being silly. Also, might be about to hit the flagpole. No. Oh well. I think I was going too fast horizontally. I think my vertical was okay, but my horizontal speed was a bit too much. But that's the basic idea. That works quite well. I think I've saved, and now I can fold back up again. Return to vehicle assembly. I think that's not. I think I haven't actually saved it except as a sub-assembly. I think that was my prototype. Because apart from anything else, I don't want it to be on the cardinal axes like that. I want it to be on the diagonal. So let's see if I have in fact. Yes. Yeah, there we go. This is. Can I? Okay, so I'll just attach that like that. That's actually upside down. That should be now the root part. Now I'm really confused. I don't know which way. I don't know which is the one I want. Oh no, I do. The one that's on diagonals is the one I want. So if I grab that, get rid of that, get rid of that. So this is the actual design. So it's got a docking port to attach to things. When it's all folded out. Oh, I don't know where that came from. What's that doing there? When it's all folded out. Ooh. Okay, cool. When it's all folded out, it's actually 45 degrees, so that if you can imagine there's a thing underneath it. I've lost. Oh, I see. The docking port's gone somewhere else. It's attached to something else. Anyway, I need to fix that. Let's get rid of everything. Can you just load? Yeah, you can. Okay, cool, sweet. Then I need to set that as the root part. Oh, I've done something weird. Something weird has happened here. I suspect the problem is what it thinks the root part is, and that's all gone a bit peaked on. Yeah. Anyway. That's my Sky Crane. It looks like I need to save this properly, but you can see that I can fold that out and it can go from taking up a small amount of space to taking, having those extensions, which is what I want. So there you go. That's what I've been up to recently. Just been playing with Infernal Robotics and stuff like that. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. Do hit like and subscribe if that's your kind of thing. You can find Nearly Enough Dice at nearlyenoughdice.com, and we're also on Facebook and Twitter. And until next time, reach for the stars.